Right, all live on YouTube, Chairman. So if you want to start.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, good morning and welcome to East Devon District Council's virtual community grant panel meeting on today, the 5th of October, 2020. I'm your chairman, Councillor Jack Rowland. I would also like to welcome anyone watching the meeting via the live streaming. All participants here today are taking part remotely, and as well as being live streamed, the meeting is being recorded, so please bear this in mind throughout, and may I remind you to be careful with your language. I also remind members that the Code of Conduct applies throughout this meeting. We also reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participants who is disrupting the meeting by whatever means. Please turn any telephone devices off or to silent. As this meeting is dependent on internet connection and a power supply, in the event of a break in the internet connection or power cuts, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. After 15 minutes, if you're not able to reconnect, we will consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. Please check the committee page on our website for details. Please make sure all phones are muted and microphones are muted when you're not speaking to avoid any background noise levels. Keep points short and do not repeat points that have already been made, and do not interrupt. If you wish to comment, please raise your electronic blue hand and wait to be called. All councillors have been sent the agenda for today's meeting. Any members of the public who want to view the agenda can do so by visiting our website, www.eastdevon.gov.uk. We will now start the meeting by doing a roll call of committee members here present. Can you please now unmute your microphone, and when you hear your name, please confirm by saying present. When you have confirmed you are present, please mute your microphone again.
Councillor Bailey.
Present.
Councillor Key.
Present.
Councillor Loudon. Councillor Miller. Councillor Parr.
Present.
Councillor Pook.
Present.
Councillor Rowland.
Present.
I can confirm we're quorate, Chairman.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, if we can then move on to item 1 on the agenda, which is public speaking. I understand we do not have any public speakers that have registered to speak. So we can move on to agenda item 2, which is the minutes of the previous meeting held with this panel on the 1st of September 2020. If anyone has a comment on the set of minutes from the 1st of September, please do so by raising your blue hand. If I have no blue hands raised, I will take this as an indication that you all agree the minutes of the previous meeting.
No blue hairs, Chair. Blue hands, Chair.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, we can agree the minutes of the previous meeting are agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 3 is apologies for absence.
Apologies received from Councillor Loudon and Councillor Miller, Chairman.
Thank you, Chris. Agenda item 4 is declarations of interest. Over to you, Wendy.
Thank you. I'll start with Councillor Bailey.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Key.
Yes, I'm ward member for Olliscombe, that's all. Wendy.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Parr.
None, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Pook.
None, thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Councillor Rowland.
None, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 5 is matters of urgency. There are no matters of urgency, so we can move on to agenda item 6, confidential and exempt items. And again, there are no confidential exempt items which officers recommend should be dealt with in this way. So we can now move on to agenda item 7, which is to consider the bid from Painbury Village Hall. I'll open it up to the committee if anybody wants to make any comments.
Chair, sorry, I bypassed.
Sorry, I was looking for blue hands as well.
Yeah, sorry, I bypassed the blue hand because it's such a small group today. But
Councillor Pook.
okay, apologies for that. Yeah, we've read through the papers, but obviously Jamie's got a bit of background knowledge on these. I wonder if it'd be useful if Jamie just to run through anything that might not come out from the black and white of the report.
Jamie, is there anything you'd like to add to what's contained in the bid? Jamie, sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm still getting used to this. I think all the information is there. I would just say that it's a really, really well-used hall, and they've made commercial use of it as well. So as well as letting it out to local community groups, they also let it out to local businesses for training and other such purposes. So they're doing a great job, and they want to improve themselves a bit more, really.
Thanks, Jamie. Wendy, I could see a number of blue hands up, but I wasn't sure which one was the first one to be raised.
Councillor Key.
Councillor Key, over to you.
Thank you very much. I mean, I've actually been and seen this, and yes, I mean, I fully support it, and it's a good cause that it's going to, and therefore, you know, propose that we accept the application.
Thank you. Councillor Park.
Yep, I'll second that. I think it's an excellent application. I can see from the papers that they've got a very good score, and you've given us a huge amount of information. I assume this is the full form that you use compared to the Orliscombe form, which seems to be the executive summary, so to speak. But yes, I think this is a tremendous application, and we should certainly support it.
I'll come to you, Jamie, and then Councillor Bailey wants to speak after that.
Sorry, I don't seem to have a blue hand again. Sometimes my blue hand is there, sometimes it's not, so sorry about that. I did just send around an email to you all about the amount of money that you have available. I don't know if just in case you all haven't had a chance to see it, do you want me to just read it out?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay. So it was included on the draft agenda, but doesn't seem to have carried over into the online one. So these are applications from the financial year 2019-2020. Decisions have been delayed due to a decision-making meeting not being quorate, then coronavirus, then not having a community grants panel in place. From 2019-2020 financial year, we have £7,617 available to give out. So that's £7,617. This would not fully fund both applications. If the panel wishes to support and fully fund both applications, they could decide to use some money from the 2020-2021 financial pot, which currently stands at £22,250, with both funding rounds still to go.
Thanks, Jamie. That's useful. Thank you. Councillor Bailey.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm very much supportive of this application, and you know would suggest that for me anyway, it would be acceptable to use some of this monies towards these applications, even though technically they come from last year. I think particularly at the moment we should be doing everything that we can to support our village halls. So yes, I'm supportive of this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Councillor Key, I see you still have a blue hand up. Did you want to come back again, or?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did want to actually come back on that because my original proposal was the fact of to actually dip into this new amount that we've got anyway. So I fully go with that anyway. Okay.
Thank you. So we've had a mover and a seconder. Unless there are any other comments to make, can we now go to a vote by indicating through the green yes tick, or if you're against the red cross? Can we all vote now then, please?
Thank you. So we have 5 votes for yes, so that has unanimously been agreed.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, that's we can now move on then to item agenda 8, which is the Anscombe Village Hall bid. Can I just ask Jamie, before we open it out to councillors, is there anything to add to the information that was contained in the papers that we received, Jamie, that you want to add?
No, I think all the information is in there. Again, they're trying to make the hall more sustainable. The works have been really well planned. I see that the information that was sent out is quite limited, so if you have any particular questions, let me know. Thank you very much. Okay, councillors, if anybody wishes to comment, could you use the virtual blue hand to indicate? Councillor Pook.
Thank you. And both of these have come in at roughly 30% of the total cost, therefore maximising the grant available. I just gone back to the training document, or the before this meeting, and I just wondered if do grants normally come in? And this is, I'm not complaining about this. I'm just saying I'm in support of it before I do it. I'm just trying to analyse and see how much money and how much money how we can make a small amount of money go as far as possible. So asking Jamie, do most projects come in at round about a third of the value? Because both these two show that there's a contribution from the village hall, but they haven't done any extra particular fundraising or look for other funds for it. So just a bit of a history, because if we end up having a small amount of money and a large number of applications in future, we might be looking to reduce that 30% to say 20%, so we can help more people and encourage people to actually do a bit more work locally to fund them. Just think Jamie can comment on that.
Yes, the halls that apply do usually come in for the maximum, so they do usually come in for their third. The 2 halls that are applying this time, I think, are slightly the exception to the rule, in that usually the halls have a lot of other funding in place, so they'll have done a sum of fate and they've got £300 or £400 from that, or they'll have applied to another grants funder and got some money from there. I think with both Alderscombe and Payhenbury, to me, they both seem to be very well run halls, so they do have quite a lot of reserves, which is why they're using those and haven't perhaps been out to other grants funders, or haven't perhaps been out to the local community to say, can you help us support this, which may or may not be a good thing, really, but usually the halls do have a wider variety of funding than these.
Okay, Jeff. Councillor Parr.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, Jamie, why have you only scored this one for 3 for need for proposed works? Because it seems to me that they're wanting to upgrade their loos, which is a very good thing. 5-board ceilings to be replaced, and improvements to lighting. The whole package seems to me very sensible, and I would say upgrading of loos important. So why have you only given them 3?
David.
I think looking at applications that we've funded in the past and applications that have come in the past was what was on my mind when I was looking at that score. We've had other applications in the past where the halls are virtually falling down, or where the toilets are unusable, or where they don't have an oven. Moncton, I'm thinking of in particular, which some of you may know, was funded last financial year, and the hall is pretty much unusable. People just can't go in it. It doesn't really have a kitchen. The toilets are in a real state. So I think that's why I gave that one a 3 in particular, because it's already functional. They're looking to improve on something that perhaps isn't quite as good as they want it to be, rather than it being, we need to do this in order to be able to rent it out. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, but despite that, I think this is very worthy, and I'm going to propose it. I think it's excellent. And as to this business of the projects coming from last year, it seems to me that neither of them can possibly be blamed for their projects being held up by coronavirus or us not having a meeting that's quorate. And so I do think it would be quite wrong to withhold the amounts on the anyway. I'd like to propose this one.
Thank you, Councillor Parr. Councillor Key.
Yes, this one, in actual fact, I mean, I have been and seen this as well. I do try and make an effort to go and see the necessary improvements that are needed, and the toilets are not really okay. They're usable, and that's about it, sort of thing. But what we must bear in mind also is that at the moment, of course, these village halls are restricted, and a lot of them are not really now able to be in use because of the COVID. And so consequently, this is an ideal time for them to be able to do the repairs and do the updating of everything without any interruptions at all. I know our local, my local village hall here, I mean, is only having one thing a week, which is on a Tuesday, and that is the art class. But I mean, I'm on the committee of it, but we're not allowing anybody else to actually use it. So it's ideal really for them to be able to do it. And I fully support what is needed there, because I've been there and seen it. So I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor King. Jamie, can I just ask a question on the new toilets, because I didn't see the quotes. Presumably this covers adequate disabled toilet facilities?
Just flick through and have a look.
Well, because he said they were far too big. I presume so, because you know what it's like, though. It's three planning is perhaps not the best age, and so it's kind of that's what would happen in that scenario. You get probably didn't make the whole space and the desk. Why the accountants we were talking about where Sarah.
So talking about ladies and gents, not a mention of disabled toilets. Removing everything from the ladies and the gents and refreshing it all, and redecorating it. It may be, of course, be that the ladies or the gents. Oh, here we are. There's a specific mention of the disabled toilet to reroute the main water to drop down from the ceiling, complete with isolation valve, and connect onto existing supply. Reroute the main water main. So it looks like they're moving their water source for the disabled toilet. So yeah, there is one there, and they're doing some works on that bit as well.
So I take it the answer to my question is yes then.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Right, okay. I just wanted that reassurance because legally they would have to be doing that with any upgrading, wouldn't they? Okay. I'm just checking to see if there's any other blue hands. There are. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know which order they came in, Wendy. Was
Jess
Councillor
before
Bailey?
me.
Councillor Pook.
Jess before me.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Another good project which I'm supportive of. I think it's really important that the works are done, and hope that we agree to fund them. Thank you, or help fund them.
Thank you. Councillor Pook.
Again, speaking more generally, because I'll still support this one, but following on from what Councillor Power was saying, that these two villages shouldn't be disadvantaged because of COVID. Effectively, I think they've been advantaged because of the delay. Because, am I right, Jamie? If they'd come in before and been assessed last year, they would have been assessed with just the £7,000 budget. So we'd have probably said, yeah, equally good, and split the 7,600 each way. So we're actually being advantaged by being pushed into this year.
Yes, that was correct. So if they'd have been assessed as was planned in March last financial year, they wouldn't have had access to the funding that we now have available this financial year. So it could be that they are now fully funded, both of them, if you decide to do that. Whereas if they'd been assessed in March as planned, we wouldn't have been able to fully fund both of them.
Yeah, I think it's been proposed and seconded, so I'm happy to go to a vote. Well, sorry, Chair, you should be saying this.
Well, just about. Thanks, Jeff. You took the words out of my mouth because there's no more blue hands being raised. So we've had a mover and a seconder. So if we can go to a vote then, and it's to actually grant the full £5,000 as well to Oscombe Village Hall. If we can indicate now by the green tick or the red cross.
Thank you. So I've received 5 votes unanimously for yeses, so that has been agreed.
Thank you, Wendy. And thank you. I think they're both very well worthwhile projects, and I'm really pleased that they both applied to us. And I'm pleased that we've been able to fulfil both their wishes by, as Jeff said, it's actually worked to their advantage that we can use this year's budget to help them as well. So thank you. So that brings the meeting to an end, and I would like to thank everyone, including any members of the public watching online, for taking part. However, can I just remind all those present?
Councillor Rowland, Jamie's got her hand up.
Jamie, over to you.
Sorry, I don't know where my blue hand is. We did mention in the training meeting that we could discuss as part of any other business in this meeting what items you wish to be submitted along with the applications to yourselves. So I don't know if you wish to do that. Have a think about what items that the applications submit that you wish to see. I sent a letter around by email, but I can read it out to you again if you like. So the items that are submitted along with the applications that you could decide that you want as part of what you see or not are a copy of their governing document. Just to warn you that can be quite lengthy. I've had some that are up to 40, 50 pages in length. Details of offers, grants from any other funder organisation. So that's perhaps just a letter from Awards for All saying that they've got £5,000 they can access from them. The quotes, obviously, a copy of their most recent set of approved annual accounts, and any letters, emails of support from the local community and users. Some halls submit those, some halls don't. So I don't know if you want to have a quick think about whether you want all of that information to come to you, or any part of it, or none of it.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie. Did I miss something then? Because this wasn't actually on the agenda, was it?
No, it wasn't. It's something that came up in the training meeting just now.
So are we able to discuss this because it's not actually on the agenda?
There's usually any other business item, isn't there?
Well, there's you don't normally have any other business on an agenda like this.
Okay.
So I'll ask for officer advice about whether we can discuss it, because it's not officially on the agenda. Chris, can you give us some
over to you.
advice?
I think it would be up to you, Chairman, to decide whether you want to consider it, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm quite happy to discuss it now if members are in agreement. So there's a nodding of heads I can see. So fine. So yes, I'll open it up then to other councillors. What's the views? Jeff, I saw you raised your hand. Was that it to speak?
Yeah, because I thought the meeting was about to close. I was trying to get in case you didn't see the blue hand. I think the information for Pay Henbury, going through the first two, Form 1, the first 2 pages, then Form 2 and then Form 3, gives us a much better idea, and that's all sort of fairly standard information. I don't think we really need to have sight of the deed, of the title deeds, etc. And because as long as we got somewhere in that form, and I know there is because I saw it just now, that the officers have checked that they've got the title deeds there. And I think that an abbreviated set of accounts like the ones shown are very useful, because that just gives us an indication of the amount of use the hall gets, and the value behind it. But I don't think we need to see all the tenders and things like that. So I would just say, going through, right, I'm looking at the first application, right down to page 17 is useful, page 18, which is a sign off, and page 19 and 20, which were just the accounts. I'd say that's all really need, and confirmation of the title deeds.
Thanks, Councillor Pook. Councillor Park.
Yes, absolutely agree. That's what I was going to say. So I agree with what Councillor Poot said. I don't think we need check the absolutely to the nth. I think officers are very capable of putting that information in. As Councillor Poot says.
Can I take it that was a proposal from Jeff, and you're actually going to second that then, Councillor Parr?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. I can't see any other blue hands being raised. So again, if we could go to a vote now on that by the time-honoured convention now of the green tick or the red cross. Wendy, you're on mute.
Apologies. What I was trying to say was all votes have been received. Unanimous, I can't say that word. All agreed. 5 votes for yes.
Okay, thank you. And my apologies if I overlooked covering that item at the very end. So I will try again then now to close the meeting. So this brings the meeting to an end. I would like to thank everyone, including any members of the public watching online, for taking part. However, can I just remind all those present that the supporting officer will confirm when the meeting is no longer being recorded or going live. And until then, your comments will be live to the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much.